This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Sierra 117. This is Raw Dogs. We are part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Chief, out.
I had too many mushroom trips to have an ego at this point.
There's so much about this game that I still have no understanding of.
I'll help you out.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Raw Dogs. And welcome, Nick, to your first episode of Raw Dogs.
Hello.
Hooray.
Yay.
It's good to have you here. Finally, you were supposed to be on the Bloodborne one.
I'm sorry.
The usual suspects.
God, yeah.
I'm Brad.
I'm Dylan.
And I'm Nick.
You're
And
now.
Nick, you are a raw dog.
Yes.
If you had to describe yourself as a gamer, how would you describe yourself to our fans?
I love this medium more than anything. You know, I appreciate the artistry behind it, or the artistry that can be behind it, or the excellent mindlessness that can also follow in it, because sometimes you just want to turn off. I like JRPGs a whole lot. Always into a good narrative.
How are you as a lover? How would you describe yourself?
Tender.
Are you more of a console gamer, or do you play PC as well?
I am a PC gamer pretty much, unless I can't play it on a PC.
What that graphics card you running with?
Oh, God. I need to update, actually. I don't even know what's in my tower right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I've got a GTX 980 and it's not good enough anymore.
Yeah, I'm still rocking the Xbox One.
Pretty sick, dude.
It's pretty good, though. I mean,
Looking forward to the
It
series.
does. It works. Hey, baby.
It plays NieR Automata. That's all I needed.
Ayo.
Absolutely true.
Ayo.
Which that is the series we're talking about today, specifically NieR Automata, with a little bit of love to some of the other ones from Dylan mostly.
Yeah, I'll be like, oh, and then blah blah blah.
This is the only one that you've played out of the series?
Yes, yeah. I've seen the last scene of Drakengard because it's a trip.
The E ending.
I think so. The one with the dragon falling out of the sky and then turning into like poison mist,
Which
so
leads into NieR, yeah.
It's a lot.
And did you play it right when it came out?
I played NieR when it came out. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Platinum Games. So
Okay, what else has Platinum Games done?
Bayonetta.
Devil May Cry is the one that I fell in love with them with. It's just an excellent action.
Have you played 5 yet?
I haven't played 5. No, it's because the reboot one kind of hurt me.
I liked it a lot.
The gameplay was excellent.
The story sucks.
The story was rough.
It makes sense that Bayonetta and Devil May Cry are some other games they made after playing NieR Automata.
It's smooth. It's stylish.
For a while, they were on such a ego trip, though, that they started to make like the Legend of Korra game, which blew. And then there was an Transformers fight, a character fighter. I admire pretty much everything they do. Bayonetta, by far, is one of those games that if you just hand me the controller, I'll just play it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. It's fun to play.
Yeah.
So I had never really heard anything about this game. I had seen just the title alone, and then Dylan had mentioned multiple times since I've met him, like, you should play NieR Automata, dude. You should play it.
You should play this.
And you never really let go on it, and
then it became free, and
then it was free, and like I felt like I was kind of leading a lot of what the Raw Dogs topics were. I'm like, I got to just dive into full Dylan stuff for a while. So
yeah, and I mean, even then, though, it became your topics the moment you got into them. I'm a tastemaker. I know what people are going to like, and if there's one thing I can curate, it's video games. It's all I know. If I know the basis of what you like, I can kind of access that Akashic records inside my brain and just roll with it.
Well, my two favorite games I have played this year are Bloodborne and NieR Automata. And I am knee deep into my third favorite, I think, at this point.
Oh my God. And you're playing them all like 3 years late.
Oh, and I just got through Kamoshida's Palace in Persona 5.
Mm-hmm.
So how did the beginning of the game feel for you? I know we shouldn't touch on this too much, but
the pacing and the tone are beautiful. Watching the days pass and choosing how to spend your time. I love the anime cutscenes. I'm loving the characters. For the most part, I've had nothing but a really great time with it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
The humor's all there, and I can kind of see where they're going to be going with it. But it's intriguing, And I can see why it's over 100 hours if I've already... It's like 11 hours just to get fully through Kamoshida's Palace. So
Yeah.
Yeah, 8-hour tutorial, you know?
But I was going in very blind when I started this game. I didn't even know what style of gameplay we had. Dylan, what's your experience with this whole series?
With NieR,
Like NieR Automata and
So-
Yoko Taro and all of this.
I bought NieR in 2013 because I was on such a trip of buying PlayStation 3 games, because at that time it was right before the new console came out, and you could go to any used game store and get pretty much anything you wanted except for new titles for like $20. And at that point I was super poor, so I decided, well, I'm just going to play all these games and maybe some people don't even like.
Yeah.
And that's exactly
Yeah.
what I did. So I got NieR. I'll be honest with you. When I first started playing it, I was extremely turned off by this game.
Is the gameplay pretty similar to Automata? No.
Relatively, I'm actually not going to say that it's not, because it ditches a lot of the stuff previous from before it, which are added back in Automata. But it's all on foot. It's kind of a hack and slash a la your Muso games, but it's utterly simplistic. There isn't like really a combo based system going on there. If you're not being driven by the atmosphere, the story,
Yeah.
you're not going to like this game. And I've always been Mr. Gameplay. Like, if it doesn't feel good, I will literally just toss it aside. I beat the game though. All, I think 6 like main endings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I found myself more immersed every single time. There are distinct endings. Only one of them leads into Automata, but I found myself really absorbed in the characters and what they were doing. I had never heard of a story like this. I'll be honest, it's anime as fuck.
Yeah.
Extremely.
It's
Yes.
AAF. That's how I'm going to refer to it. It's but it's so off the wall and weird that there's a real deep charm to it. They care more about the characters than what's going on around the characters.
If with NieR Automata, if you're not paying attention to the themes, it would be very easy to fall into the hole of this is just an anime butt
is
celebration.
insane. Yeah.
Which it still is.
Which
Yeah.
it still is.
I mean, he's on record saying the reason why he designed to be as a sexy Lolita goth is to get cosplayers to cosplay as her.
Hell yeah. And I've seen a good amount of those.
Oh, and they're
Photos.
So respect to any cosplayer. Like
Honestly.
if they put in the effort, it's
We're not saying we don't love it because we do love it, but we're not as unabashed as Yoko Taro, the man himself, who he is the creator of the series. He did all of it except Drakengard 2, I believe, right?
Drakengard 2 was not Yoko.
Yeah.
his writing style is brilliant. Like just the way that he can tell a story and then retell it from a different perspective and then retell it from another perspective and have it all come together and make you go through a full range of emotions beyond just like your initial, oh, bad guys smash, like, and then going through it a second time, you're like, oh no, I'm part of the bad guy.
There's not many games where you just like, this is a Hideo Kojima game. Like you can just tell it's a creator. There's a stamp that is clearly them.
Yeah.
Yoko Taro, somehow I was unfamiliar with him, but he is one of the most enigmatic, unique creators, I think, in the industry.
Well, I mean, that's partially for a reason. He is so efficient at what he does that even when he says something like off the wall, like even his bosses understand to some degree. It's just like, well, he's going to get this done.
Yeah.
Who cares about the execution? Like, it's going to happen, and he's going to make sure it gets done. Like, he's a good boss by all accounts. Everyone who ever works with him is just like buddy with him, treats him like a pal, and they get shit out on time. Very rare for video games these days.
Truth.
I mean, truly bizarre individual. He does a lot of interviews
With his mask.
with his ML mask on.
Yeah.
And he's done like whole game developer conference like talks as a puppet.
Yeah.
Just off screen as a puppet. And
I think that, like, I don't mean to project or anything, but I think that he probably does have a bit of, like, social anxiety stuff going on. I don't think he just does it to be weird. I mean, I do think he does it to be weird as well.
I think it's
part of his persona.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will say that I think he believes in the death of the author even though they've made him something other than that.
Yeah, he mentioned that in that video we were just watching a little bit ago.
Yeah.
He's like, he mentions if the erotic novel I'm reading, if I find out it was written by a middle-aged man, I might not like it as much.
He likes having his name on it, but when you see a name, you don't automatically ascribe a look to someone with that.
Yeah.
And in dressing up as Emil, it gives him the freedom to, he's like, I'm still a part of my work.
Yeah.
And they're going to make me do all these press junkets anyway. I might as well just, like if I have to, I might as well give myself a mask, something to put me in between part of that. And I might as well put on an act because it's an act. Let's be clear.
It's like Mel Gibson's The Beaver.
Sure. Yeah.
To make a very weird reference.
Your favorite movie of all time?
I love The Beaver. It's me. I'm the Beaver.
That's what I've heard. I'm going to...
There are so many euphemisms right now. So
I'm
many.
just going to cut that clip. Yeah.
One thing I really liked when I was watching Yoko Taro stuff is he denies the 3-act structure. He thinks that like the structure that has been used for film, which really works for a lot of movies.
Yeah.
He's like, this, I don't think it relates to video games. Instead, he chooses emotions and feelings he wants at different points characters to feel. He said like the plot's kind of nonsense and garbage.
Well, I mean, traditionally in Japan too, a lot of their plays, they have 5 acts.
Yeah.
So their storytelling is just going to be naturally different anyway. The westernized structure has just become so prevalent. I don't like when games do that either. I just think it's annoying. It's just like I know what's coming next. If I want to watch a movie, I'm going to watch a movie.
Exactly.
That's
like
it.
The
Plain and
3
simple.
The 3 part structure. It has to be that way for movies because they're so much more constrained on time. The way that they can tell their story.
Yeah.
With a game that you can sink, 20 hours, 30 hours, 90 hours is what I did in the first playthrough of P5.
Okay, that's relieving for me because I thought it'd be like 115 would be kind of the average. So
Mine was 120.
well, I guess I got Royal though, but
Royal's going to be longer.
But you're right, like long form storytelling.
Yeah, like you get to put up more setups and payoffs, and you can interact more with whoever's consuming your media more, which means that your voice is louder and can be more clear instead of just doing the 3-part thing and having a spectacle at the end,
NieR Automata has such a different structure though. Like you wanted to talk a lot about like game design and design philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's nothing traditional about what's going on here other than he kind of starts off at the beginning like this is going to be a straightforward JRPG type story, and then he just like punches you like when you get to that point.
Well, I think the thing to remember here is that without Platinum Games, I don't think this game would be popular at all.
No.
They made it playable is what you're saying.
They made it playable.
Yes.
That is literally what it is because NieR is playable, but it's full of so many annoying little quirks.
Yeah.
People would drop off. Almost there's a point in NieR that is literally a cap for some people. Like even in NieR Automata, when you witness that first ending, the ending A, some people who even reviewed it just immediately like turned it off and wrote a review.
Well, the
so sad.
The problem is though they call it ending A.
Yeah.
So this is an ending of the game, which because when both of you guys told me like you're gonna have to play through it 3 times, I'm like that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard. Like I shouldn't have to play through a game 3 times in order to know what's going on.
Yeah, and it's only marginally playing through it 3 times.
Yeah, it is definitely different enough and fresh enough that it doesn't feel like you're replaying something so much as experiencing it from a new angle.
It's not replaying it at all, in my opinion. I mean, it's still the same story. It's like a single through line for a story being told, but you just revert back to another character's perspective.
Yeah.
Well,
and it's different when because just the opening for 9S's story when it starts off with, which we just found out, the little robot like trying to get like water to his little buddy, or get oil to his little buddy. In machine comparison, his name is Friedrich. I'm like, oh shoot, that's cute. And it's just because this entire time you thought your first playthrough, the machines didn't have like any sentience when they started really, and that they were developing it. And you're like, no, the beginning, they were already working on some big stuff, which shouldn't be a surprise, but it's just recontextualizes. And you're playing through, I would argue, a very different story the second time because you're
now so aware of
what's going on. And like just Adam and Eve, understanding those two characters was very hard for me on the first run because they kind of defy understanding. They don't want to give you too much that first time through.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of what happens is action. There isn't a lot of explanation. There is no like exposition, especially in that first run.
Yeah.
When you see
Very spectacle.
when you see Eve being born from Adam's ribs by chance, if you don't understand any like form of symbolism or anything like that, it's going to go right over your head. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And maybe you don't even understand why the robots combined to become them. Like it's in your head. But with 2B, her theme on her story is literally learning her own sense of humanity.
So let's give some context to some of our viewers, namely my brother, who will be listening and not having played this game. It's
Brian, what are you doing?
It's set on Earth.
Play this game.
Earth, 11,945 AD during the 14th Machine War. This doesn't make almost any like.
You don't need to know too
yeah,
much about it.
Essentially, there's androids that humans created that are living on the moon. The humans are on the moon. They created these androids to take back Earth from the machines, which were created by aliens.
Yes.
Yep. And machines and androids, machines and androids are fighting over Earth, and you control the robo booty known as 2B.
There are a couple robo booties.
9S has some booties for sure. I can say multiple booties because there are multiple.
A2's got it going.
A2.
A2.
Yeah.
I'm more of an A2 guy. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I can agree with you there.
Yeah.
I'm more of an ML type guy.
Yeah.
Seems like he could drive me around real fast.
Sure.
Yeah. I just
Yeah, absolutely.
The moment there's a flower found in any part of the map. Yo, what's up, dude? It's like, whoa.
Thanks.
It's like when you're at a college party and someone loads a bowl of weed. Literally everyone somehow converged in like 2 seconds.
Oh man.
It's like summoning.
Yeah.
It's like performing a summoning ritual for like a 311 concert. Someone loads a bong.
Amber is the color of energy.
So you're playing as 2B and then 9S. And just kind of an overview of what the gameplay style is. Third-person hack and slash, top-down twin-stick shooter, side-scroller, platformer, vertical and horizontal shoot-'em-up, text adventure type gameplay.
But let's be clear. Those aren't going to be mixed in too often. It's going to mostly be a character action, third-person hack and slash.
With a fair amount of twins. Well, I mean, the shooters vary in a lot of ways.
Shooters.
The twin-stick shooter is more on a 3D plane unless you're hacking.
I was gonna say the hacking as well.
Yeah.
I kind of count that too.
And I like in the Forest Kingdom when it turns into almost like side scroller. It almost feels like a Castlevania where you're going up.
Yeah, and
that was on purpose,
you get the side scrolling like platformer, and it's just like, what is happening? Where like you go from one style of gameplay to another so smoothly too that like your brain doesn't ever get a chance to really like truly settle in. Like I honestly had a really tough time getting into like with 9S going from hacking and back into combat.
So you mostly just chose one or the other?
Yeah.
Well,
initially.
Well, I mean, with hacking, I found it so interesting in battle to find the right unit to hack in order to explode to hit the enemies around them. That became the core gameplay loop. And when someone got too close, then you would use your sword.
Oh, okay.
There were definitely battles which I think if I were to be fighting at the traditional hack and slash versus hacking, hacking is way easier. And it's designed to be. It's supposed to. You're playing as a different character whose job is to hack. And you're just kind of androids on this mindless mission to destroy things, and eventually, you start realize it's great that first sequence when you go down into like that abandoned like village or like the destroyed city, and you see all the machines like humping each other.
Yeah.
Well, they're imitating human life.
I mean, there was even one in there that has like a crib, isn't there? Or is that a different part of the game?
She's rocking the cradle.
Yeah.
Well, and they're imitating it because we're
going into it.
Okay.
I mean, there's no way not to talk about.
They're imitating it because literally they've obtained that level of sentience. A lot of what the Yorha units have to deal with is the fact that they believe it's just data being processed. The game is called Automata, and if you understand what automata means and you break it down, it's literally like sentience. It's automation. It's going to happen on its own no matter what. And the androids who self-conceptualize as sentient beings are facing the robots, and they're like, no, they're just repeating data, when that's what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
So they're judging just another form of themselves, because the only difference between the machines and the androids is one looks more human and the other one looks like a tool.
I did really enjoy the discovery of oh my gosh, these robots are more human than the your Yorha, what is supposed to be like who you embody.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like, I absolutely love the Simone fight and the background of it, and just the twisted like nature. It's so dark and delicious and amazing.
Yes.
Like,
It's so great because the first playthrough as 2B, they
none of
keep
it.
you at like arm's length
Yep.
away from the bosses, and a lot of the meaning.
Because your character isn't focused on that.
yeah,
The very opening of the game
that's her journey is learning that.
has that great like monologue. Why are we here? What are we doing? Is there a God? And if there is, will we ever have a chance to kill him?
Yeah.
Which I think is, I mean, we later learn why she is so upset, because why she was built and all of
purpose
that.
is
But
awful.
I think it's great that she's obsessed with killing God. And at the end of the first game or the first playthrough, you kind of have the rug pulled out, and it's like
Turns out God's already dead.
God is
Yeah.
dead. Like the Nietzschean idea, like that's what everyone's striving for, is some meaning. And it's beautiful the way all the characters embody this. But 2B doesn't really relate to what's going on with the machines. And when you come back as 9S, like even just the big Goliath creatures, instead of having like nonsensical
Yep.
names, it's marks or angles.
Well,
Yep.
that's the crux of 9S's relationship to the world, is that he's seeing more than any other character, because he's generally an information finding unit.
Yeah.
But he's still in denial about it, and his that second playthrough is still my favorite, just because of 9S.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge 9S fan as
Yeah.
well. Like as far as the playthroughs go, I agree with you there.
Yeah, 9S and 2B are intimately connected. We find out later that 2B is spoilers. If you're here this far and you didn't know, we're going to spoil the shit out of this. But 2B was designed to like kind of ultimately exterminate 9S units once they learn too much, if they discover the truth,
And then she self-destructs herself.
which
And then she
allows her
loses her
booty
memory.
shorts.
So I watched the stage play Yorha Boys.
Yes. Okay, tell us about this. Dylan.
All right, I watched the whole thing. Someone on the internet, I'm so sorry, I should have written it down, on YouTube actually subbed it.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. Or they provided the script along with it. What you find out in Yorha Boys is that there's a reason that there aren't male Yorha members everywhere, and why they aren't combat focused is because the males can't have clarity. They can't have clarity in battle. Like literally they're obsessed with kind of like the destructive element of it. They can't put themselves beyond it.
Yeah.
And that's why they're all relegated to like scanner models.
Yeah.
There's, you know how there's a Commander White for the females? There at one point there's a Commander Black. And from what I read, and I'm just going to be honest, it just seems like, because they don't have the silver hair, so it's a little confusing. But Commander Black is a 9S model who was allowed autonomy and became like the commander, because that's supposedly, that's what Commander White is. They're just earlier models that are given more freedom, and they don't have to constantly like reboot their systems and stuff like that.
So the stage play, it's not a musical, but it's like a dramatic, structured play.
There's weird choreography in it, and there's a lot of it has to do with like the logic virus from the story.
Yeah.
And sometimes live action Japanese acting, I don't understand it. They try to be way too anime about it.
Yeah.
And there's some really goofy like facial expressions and the way they over dramatize things. I don't know. I couldn't get too into it. I skipped ahead at some points. Let's put it that way. But from what I understood, like this was the inciting incident that basically relegated all of the male members of Yorha to their own like specific designation. And that's why there aren't that many of them left, because they basically slaughter each other through the logic virus. Sorry.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Just more fun stuff.
Apparently the logic virus got further into the male mind than it did the female Yorha mind.
All right. That's bonkers.
And apparently, I learned this. Apparently, there can be reproduction between the androids.
Okay.
Yoko Taro said it in an interview.
Well, he was just drawing doodles or something. He's like, yeah, they can.
They've got like a special data DNA sequence.
I thought that they didn't like age.
They don't.
That's baffling.
I guess what's
Really,
really
they just grow to
when you're
adult and then stop.
But when you're in a place where emotions are prohibited, they probably couldn't even get that far to begin with. It's like
Truth.
You think Yorha wouldn't find out if like two units were fucking. Yeah. It's just like they've got complete access to each other. So I think it's more or less like they're trying to be like this almost like monastic kind of religious order. Because I mean, when you think about how their opinions are when they start out, and then when they go out into the world, they find out that things aren't quite like that. It's what a lot of people experience with religion, especially when they're raised in like the church, especially. Yeah. Especially when it comes to stuff like sex.
I have never. I can't think of another video game that explores existentialism and different philosophical approaches to life in anything close to this context. I know Metal Gear Solid, at some point, some of the Metal Gear Solid games approach a Ludo narrative in a pretty fun way.
Maybe
two
mostly, yeah.
Near the end.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much most of the first two all three playthroughs really are characters being confronted with the meaninglessness of existence, and which it sounds
well. That's the opening mission of the game.
Yeah.
I've got my book by Jean-Paul Sartre, and this completely changed my life and ruined my life. It's Being in Nothingness.
The most approachable title ever.
And
I wish he could have just shown Simone some love, though. You know?
Well, his main one of his
in real life he did too. Though.
I was gonna say that's actually reversed. Yep. He got jealous as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, so he always preaches existence always precedes essence, and when you get down to what the androids are. Every time they're rebooted, they're essentially given their own version of a blank slate, or whatever their slate was previous to them uploading or like downloading, essentially.
Yeah.
And so, like when 9S dies at the beginning, the thing that 2B is mourning is his essence, but not his existence. His existence will return, and that's why she's so angry at the start. Like when they say glory to mankind to each other and he walks down the hallway, she clenches her fist. It's like her first understanding that like, I had to see this. I was supposed to die too. It's kind of a mistake I'm remembering this.
Yeah.
And that's the whole impetus to the start of the game.
Yeah. I mean, she knows 9S is going to die again and again and again.
Yeah. Yep.
And existence preceding essence. We're born without an inherent meaning, and we need to find one. A lot of the philosophers that are explored through characters in this game, they're kind of they're parodies. They're turned on their heads. It's mostly just kind of a way to exemplify a lot of the philosophical ideas through characters.
I don't think the names when the characters are named, like John Paul is definitely not
a representation of.
No, I think they're literally just given these names because Pascal is not. He's not Pascal. He doesn't exemplify Pascal's wager, which is his most fundamental idea. Do you guys know what Pascal's wager is?
If it's impossible to either prove or disprove the existence of God, let's just place our bets. Like one is eternal damnation, and the other's like it doesn't matter, you're dead. Yeah. So
it's better to believe in something than nothing because. If you're thinking about chances and the rule of it, yeah. And so your life is a little bit better by believing in it wholeheartedly or even pretending to is fine too. That's kind of the idea because it does enrich your life. It does something to the human mind. So I think it's fascinating. The Jean Paul one, notoriously Jean Paul. I keep saying that fish-eyed bugger, but like he's infamously not famous, but he's also he also preaches something called bad faith, and that's what kind of this game is all about when you get down to it. Bad faith is the idea that you place a significance in yourself in terms of what you're doing in the world. So the fact that you think things have to be a certain way, that's always bad faith.
Well, so the character in the game, Jean Paul, is a top hat wearing like
ladies man.
Well, not
well, he has a lot of suitors, but he's also up his own ass.
Well, he's
Yes.
like, most of your missions are you find like these lady robots who say, "Can you just give him a message for me?" And he's like, "Whatever."
I don't care.
He's so concerned with his own philosophical ponderings that he's so far up his own ass. And in the real world, Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir had a polyamorous relationship. And he was notoriously jealous and obsessed with her, which is like,
it's against his teachings, but it's also like
it's very human nature.
It's the nature of what we are. Yeah,
Which is what this game takes a look at so freaking well. Like
it's weird to try and talk about this game in like a narrative sense because it's like Yoko Taro. It's more about like there's these emotional beats that you're kind of having to
he's
approach.
trying to
well, you can sum it
communicate
up.
themes.
You mean the machines that to be eventually kind of gradually realizes machines are gaining sentience. She is trying to hide her feelings for 9S.
Yeah,
because she definitely has him, but she also knows that she's going to have to kill him.
It's more of every time she kills him, she does technically, on some level, she realizes it's a different person. When 9S is kind of rebooted that first time and she retains her memory, it's pretty much implied by command that she wasn't meant to remember it either. They were supposed to blow up together. But 9S is so good at his job this time around. He's become so good at his job that he prioritizes her over him, and that's what causes the chain of events to start.
Oh,
and the other chain of events would then be the birth of Adam by the robots, essentially as a collective, deciding that they're going to take all their disparate parts and merge them together.
Yes,
machines have been abandoned and they are now trying to find meaning for their existence.
Yep.
And so what they're doing is going to all of these human texts from 10,000 years ago.
Yep.
And that's how they're picking up Friedrich Nietzsche. They're picking up Kierkegaard. And the characters are even just naming themselves after them. And it's the cycle, eternal recurrence, that is like a Nietzschean concept where it's going to keep repeating itself with life and death. And can you learn from the mistakes? I sound up my own ass talking about this stuff.
It's hard not to when you're talking philosophy.
Right.
So you know how they keep talking how there's a network, and when you separate from the network, you gain your own level of sentience. Through that separation, you're defining yourself through freedom. And when Adam and Eve are created, when they basically merge together and that light is created through that technology, and then Adam comes out of that, that's like evolution through like collective. Like they decide we're all going to
individuality.
Well, the idea is this is how they become God.
Yeah,
it's collecting themselves and then becoming merged.
And we're there for the birth of them.
Yes.
At the little alien hump fest.
Yes.
Or the machine hump fest, I should say.
It's not all fucking. Some of them are like, I care for you. And some of them are like rocking like cradles, even though they can't have children.
And I'm like, you guys can't be humping in front of these moms talking to their babies over here. This is inappropriate.
This is wildly.
Oh, they're all playing pretend,
and it's fucking fascinating, this game, too, because these are all machines without genders assigned to them. Yeah. And they
assign it to themselves later.
And it's interesting how they all assign selves like, this is my son, this is my mom.
Yep.
Your
characters are just confused about it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm a sexy android lady with my butt cheeks hanging out.
Well, and
this is a very serious game, guys.
But they're gendered too. So it brings up how Yoko Taro expresses gender through his writing. In the first NieR, there's a character named Kaine. And Kaine, you go throughout the entire game, she's hot as fuck. And it is essentially expressed through so much dialogue that she has both male and female parts. Yoko Taro is like, well, that's an aspect of her, but it's not the story beat. Yeah. It doesn't have to be. And so he treats gender as extremely fluid. He's very progressive for a Japanese person. No, I'm sorry, no offense, but it's a very closed off society. You can't go to a bathhouse with a tattoo. I'm sorry.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Like the only bathhouses I've gone to are outside of the LeBlanc's cafe.
Oh, there you go.
It's good for my stats.
But they're a pretty
for your
reserved.
skin.
They're a reserved society, but it's really interesting because she's hermaphroditic. Like that's what he said it in multiple interviews. And so when it comes to like the gender of the robots and stuff, I think he's actually making a true commentary, because the one way to distinguish between a male and a female robot is generally just a ribbon on their head.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't know. Even Pascal, at first I thought Pascal was female because it's voiced by a female.
Well, it's great that Pascal is a male name, but it's voiced by a female, correct?
Identifies as male, too.
Yes.
Yes.
Identifies as male.
For sure.
Female voice. That actually specifically goes into Simone, her philosophy of being a woman is something that is assigned to you.
Simone and like gender politics and how women are assigned roles.
It's fun to see that he kind of dismantles that with just the simple placement of a ribbon on a head. You know,
it's how these androids are created, but it's also they're built to look like servants. They're all wearing maid outfits or like little like servant boy uniforms. Like it's all coded there because you're supposed to be serving the humans who are still alive on the moon.
Glory to mankind.
Yes.
Because the Yorha, they realize and they appreciate that it's better to have some sort of creators present for you to be fighting for, because then you don't have to rely on yourself for meaning, which I had to struggle with in my early 20s.
Hey man, figuring that out for the first time and like actually like realizing just
absolutely
the humans aren't on the moon.
Yeah,
we did go to the moon. I'm not trying to say that part. But
we definitely went to the moon,
and the Earth is flat. No,
I'm happy to not have flat earthers listen to this.
Yeah, go away. That's so dumb.
please do not believe that.
Every piece of fiction they watch, then they're just like they're turning to their partner, if they even have one, or their cat, and they're just like, this isn't how it looks.
I think Simone's fascinating, especially when you get
so little of her.
Well, in the first playthrough, but when you get to 9S's version, you actually get to have that little vignette,
right? Yeah.
Where Simone fell in love, and then she tried to keep bettering herself and being prettier.
Too, they do something really cool. Them pulling the camera away from Simone during it while she's saying, "Someone look at me,
look at me, please."
Even you, the player, cannot turn to look at her.
Yeah,
and it
goes
just such a heavy moment, and it's just like, oh my god, like. What are you doing with just like a camera movement?
And I mean, she has put all of her effort into doing one thing to try and impress Jean Paul. So she's cannibalizing machines and androids and wearing them
herself with them. Yeah.
And when she realizes that despite all of that, he still doesn't care, she just goes completely batshit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's also cannibalistic as well as just a straight up murderer.
Yeah.
She crucifies all of those androids, takes away their consciousness, and uses them as EMP weapons. I mean, like, it's fascinating. Like, when you first play as 2B, you just think of this as like a standard fight.
Yeah.
And I think that's meant to be
It's
intentional. You're not supposed to feel anything about this character.
big evil lady smash.
Well,
she bad.
Yeah.
She real bad.
To some degree, these enemies are very bland looking.
Yeah.
And I think that's on purpose as well, because it's if they all look the same to you, you can kind of just deal with all of them the same exact way. And while some are more interesting than others, Simone, by far the best.
Well, absolutely.
And I think what you're getting at in a real cool way there is it's like C-3PO. It's meant to be a robot face, which it's very just neutral, and then it's depending on what they're saying or what they're putting out that you are projecting your emotions and feelings onto them.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect neutral canvas for you. It's a Rorschach test for you to just like, how do you feel about this character? How are you interpreting Friedrich trying to get oil to his brother and falling over? Like,
I don't think it's coincidence
little
that
buddy.
I don't think it's coincidence that right after facing Simone, you meet Pascal, because without that dichotomy going on of what the robots can achieve, I don't think you would feel that level of sympathy, because almost immediately Pascal is likable.
Well, and I love too, even before you get to Simone, you first show up to the amusement park. And all of these machines are like partying, like, what's up, man? This is pretty good, right?
So I'm going to ask you guys a question. When you guys first started going through, did you just start killing things?
Nope.
No.
Did you kill the tank?
Nope.
Didn't even have to touch it.
Yeah.
No, I'm like,
You felt bad about it?
I didn't feel bad. I'm just like, everyone here is chill. Why would I just start shit if in someone's home?
And then 9S, as you're climbing up onto the railroad tracks, he's like, "Are you sure we should leave those robots alone? It looks like they've got some real firepower." And then 2B's like, "Let's just stay focused on the mission."
And honestly, I was thinking this might come back to me later and I'll have to pay for it. But morally, I was fine, even if that was the case. I'm like, I'd rather wait until someone deserves to be punished before I punish them.
The first time I played,
You can't kill
slaughtered the
Hitler,
shit out of
baby.
him.
Yeah.
I slaughtered the shit out of him. I'm like, this is video game. Play the video game. Like most of what video games are, whether or not people really think that it's mostly violent acts.
You might have missed some good dialogue, though, because there's one little alley where this robot's like, I'm supposed to be working. Don't tell anyone I'm here.
I saw that too. Yeah.
I was like, I won't, shh. That's great.
There are so many cute little touches put into that really do kind of weigh out the just heavy experience that this game is. Every story beat, like major story beat, you're like kicked in the gut. I mean, moments of levity come in the little jokes that they kind of sprinkle in like that.
Yeah, and then we'll get to some of the other villains later, but I think that it's cool the way that the moment you really realize machines might start having sentience, then you see the amusement park where it's like, this is great, they're all getting along, but then you see the first of many philosophical ideas taken to their endpoint, which with Simone, it's like, if your meaning is defined by your gender, it's not like Simone de Beauvoir's, but this character who is defining herself through beauty. If you define yourself that way, it can be potentially extremely dangerous for you because you will not find meaning there.
No, yeah.
And that's what happens with many of these different philosophies we explore, is that in itself isn't enough. But it's fun to think about.
Always fun to investigate that type of stuff.
I think one of the things that truly stands out about this game is its atmosphere, and it's like the quality of the world, because you are trudging through a lot of the same map a ton of the time, but there's just the way it's designed and the way you can traverse, it just feels so rich. Yeah. And because it's bland apocalyptic city for the most part until you get out to the desert or the forest. But even then, like, it's a castle in the middle of a forest. Yeah. It's like, what the hell? Which, if you play NieR, the castle makes sense. The city, however, does not. Because this takes place, like 4,000 years after NieR?
It's many thousands, yeah.
But in NieR, like, everything's kind of back to everything made with a cobblestone. And everything looks kind of like medieval. And it's supposed to be like, oh, we went through this apocalypse before. Everything's back to this kind of square one. Even though NieR does have androids in it.
Yes, and some that are supposedly still around during Automata.
That's not them.
No, there's one that's in the background that you only get mentioned a couple times through like dialogue. You don't see directly.
Oh, okay.
But we'll get back to that after we hear from some of the other amazing podcasts on the Greenlit Podcast Network. We're going to go grab some more beers, hop in our vending machines, and recharge our android bodies. But we're gonna rub our black boxes together. We'll be back in 2 seconds.
Yum, yum.
This is Super Nintendads.
You know I don't like Dr. Mario. I think he's a fraud back alley doctor.
Am I very happy to be here.
With the help of a doula, you can do anything in the tub.
You're looking at the Nintendo knitting machine. Do you feel that I abused you by making you play Night Trap?
I challenge you guys to a dance-off at McDonald's tomorrow's. What have I done? Sweet Jesus, what have I done? Super Nintendads Entertainment Podcast. Every week right here on Greenlit.
Hey, Lassie, what are you doing here? Timmy's in a well. Sequelcast 2 and Friends is a podcast looking at movies in a franchise, one film at a time, like Harry Potter, Hellraiser, and The Hobbit. And sometimes the hosts talk about video games and TV as well. And now it's part of the Greenlit Podcast Network. Oh, Lassie, we don't need to rescue Timmy. He likes the well enough, I guess. Darth Vader is Luke's father. Lassie, I told you to lay off the spoilers.
With my monkey arms and
Yeah, we were just kind of talking about Pascal's village, and you stumble on this village, and all the machines are just like waving white flags.
yeah.
And even 9S is like, what do you think we should do?
One of the endings actually involves Pascal's village, and if you are a Carnage video gamer, you know you can start attacking them, and they will eventually start fighting back, and
Yeah.
you can genocide them.
That is one of the ones that felt the worst.
Yeah.
Trying to complete this.
Oh yeah.
I did not feel good.
Yeah.
I literally walked away from it being like,
And then you found out that you could buy achievements with.
Which actually, Dylan didn't know that the other day when I told him on the Dogcast, because I didn't know either. You can where is it you can buy achievements at?
It's in it's in some sub menu, but like if you want to platinum the game, yeah, you can just outright just buy all of the achievements.
that's the reason.
That's just the coolest thing. Like creators that are just like, fuck achievements, fuck your trophies. You can just buy them all here if you want them.
Yeah, like
I couldn't platinum it anyway. I've got a PC.
Yeah.
they're ridiculously, like, some of them are ridiculously expensive, and some of them are, you know, dirt
But
cheap.
that's a fair way to go about it, because at least it's in-game currency.
Heck yeah. No, I actually really like that, especially for some of the things that you get achievements for in games these days.
That's the 26 different endings. There's 26 endings to this game. A and B come through the first two playthroughs, which are very straightforward. C and D, you have to choose characters at the end, and then E is like the best ending. The rest of them are mostly you just walk away at the wrong points. You might kill all of Pascal's village. You're given a fish. You're given a fish by a character named Jackass.
You achieved that. I watched you achieve that one.
Yeah, he watched me do it right before you showed up.
I think my other favorite one is that you can just take out your operating system.
That one's fun.
That's just silly to me.
The OS, yeah. My favorite one is still the moment you get a hold of 2B, you can literally just jump off the rails, and it says like 2B became fascinated with machine life and decided she didn't want to fight anymore at the end. And I'm like, I did it on accident once, and I'm just like, what?
Wait, what?
What the fuck?
And hopefully when you get these endings you have saved recently, because this is not an auto-saving game.
Oh, yeah.
So Pascal is a robot named after Blaise Pascal. We talked about Pascal's Wager a little bit.
Yeah.
He's the leader of this pacifistic village, and he thinks by teaching the children of this village fear, it will keep them safe, will keep them inside the house.
Oh, yeah, this hurts.
And this comes back in a big way in playthrough C, or the third playthrough, whatever you want to call it.
The one with A2, yeah.
Yep. But this is your first experience just really interacting and like having missions involved with the machines. And Pascal becomes your homie. You help some other villagers around there.
Well, and it's worth noting that the Resistance, which is literally the last remnants of humanity on Earth, they trust the machines.
Yeah, they work.
And
they work
Yorha's
with
the one that doesn't, and
Yeah.
it's because they've literally got just an exchange of goods and services for each other. I think that's the most fascinating part, is because when you find that out, like, your characters are just like, why? why is this happening? Why are these two people why are these like people? Like essentially they're people. You're just trading with another tribe.
Yep,
That's essentially what it is. And so it's like, oh, why are they even trying to do this when they're just mutually benefiting each other? Doesn't matter.
Yeah. I thought it was set up so well that, like, obviously the entire time of the initial meeting, right up until she like apologizes for an attack on the resistance.
Oh yeah. She's like, that wasn't us though. Like,
yeah. And it's, I know you have no reason to believe me. That it's set up so well that she is so likable and kind and like open and just willing to trust.
Which one are we talking about?
Pascal.
Yeah.
By the way, probably because I played both of the games, my third favorite character.
In all of NieR?
Oh yeah, all of NieR. Yeah.
Pascal's very interesting and has a very fun ending.
Fun in a way, I guess.
So at this point, we have made contact with some machines, but we are still the machines have splintered off into factions, and we're going to go investigate this like Forest Kingdom faction. Is kind of the next story beat. Immanuel Kant is kind of the leading philosopher of this one.
Okay, give us a bit of a rundown on Kant.
Writer on ethics, art, and politics, and the intersection of science and philosophy. He wrote the Critique of Pure Reason in 1781. He asserts that the ability to reason how we process information and make value judgments about the world is the essential component of the human experience. Our mind and intellect provide structure and meaning to our everyday life. If you want to go further, the universe was made by God and exists regardless of our attempts to interpret it.
He's kind of like Kierkegaard in a lot of ways, but he's not a transcendentalist. He's a what do you call that? A rationalist? I might be wrong on that one, but
sounds good to me.
Yes,
I don't like Immanuel Kant. I had to read a bit of him for a class back in college, and I was just like, not my type.
No,
just can't deal. I don't know.
I do appreciate though that what provides meaning to our lives is all based on our own interpretation of the world.
Right.
There's nothing that is inherently given to us.
No.
It's something that we have to create. The Forest Kingdom is fun. Fun is maybe the wrong word for every part of this game.
It's a greatly designed adventure.
It's because you show up and there's machines riding like boars and they're leading like units.
Protect the king.
Yep.
Protect the king.
We must protect the king.
Yeah.
And you're essentially leading an assault on this castle, which is great because it goes full 2D for a lot of it, and that's a little fun twist on gameplay that they give you.
Well, I mean, you experience so the first level of the game is basically telling you, it's giving you the thesis statement to what the rest of the game is going to be. Mm-hmm. It's like it'll shift from 2D to 3D to top down isometric. It'll give it all to you right away, which is expertly done because you aren't just immediately surprised by what it does. In the first NieR, it'll do stuff to you. There's a mansion in NieR where it goes into almost like Resident Evil style tank controls.
Oh, gross.
Or or there's this underground bunker area where it will zoom out and do kind of a top-down isometric like the first two Fallouts.
Oh yeah, sure.
It gets a little annoying, and it's not well implemented. In this one, though, the way that they shift the camera, it's almost instinctoal.
We're in this part now.
They had a bunch of people who play video games actually play test it.
And they had a good game development company make the game.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just need someone to steer the ship while someone orders where the ship goes.
Yeah. And
I think that's just like the theme of all of this. I mean, get ready. There's going to be another NieR, and I think it's going to be a trilogy. I've got ideas, boys.
I've got ideas, boys.
Sign me on.
This Forest Kingdom had a king that they loved, and who decided the best way was to lead the people. He would make the wise decisions, as I think many kingdoms' first king is generally like someone could be a bad person, but they unify a tribe or a group, and it's just degraded over time. Sadly, it doesn't.
Nepotism didn't work.
Well, even so, I think the downfall of the Forest Kingdom is literally counting on a lineage to grow, because there's a point where literally they're crowded around the crib, and it's like 500 years later, and they're like, "Oh,
hasn't grown.
the king hasn't grown a single bit," and they're like, "Fuck," and they're like,
Why isn't he growing this machine baby?
But then they say he's pretty cute though, and everyone's like, yes, we all agree he's small and cute, and then everyone's like, all right, on with business. It's
They
but
just
that's
kind of forget that it's like an issue, and
I am the steward of Gondor.
yeah. Well,
Good
and
old
this
Denethor.
is also the when
Introduction?
you kill it, the introduction of A2, and A2 you can almost tell right away that A2 is just done with shit. She's long haired. She has her mask taken off. The mask that is shown to be like, keeping them from
The truth.
From the truth. You want to know where it actually comes from, though? Symbolically, in the first NieR and some of the Drakengard series, characters have themselves like their eyes covered, because literally they're like Medusa eyes, and they turn people to pillars of stone. And that's where that comes from.
okay.
And so this might be a holdover from that level of storytelling. So it might as well be like, if you can't see the truth, or if you can see someone, then you can affect someone. So it's like almost like an entropic principle.
Yeah.
I could get into that, but I'm not going to. It's too much.
The rabbit hole is deep.
A2, as an angel of death, just descends from the sky with her sword through the baby and lifts it up on her sword, which is kind of funny.
And then she whips it off.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then she's gone that fast, like Batman or something, just disappears.
You learn that she's wanted, and then she's just like deuces.
And then Pascal's like, we've heard she's pretty dangerous too. Like, you should probably stay away from
She
her.
hasn't fucked with us, but
It's also implied that she's actually killed 2B and 9S models in the past.
I'm sure she's killed a lot of them.
She's kind of sick of them.
yeah.
Well, because we learned that she was, I don't even know where we learned this, but she was part of an attack with Pearl Harbor's like machines, and where they were all sacrificed, but her machine, her A2 unit somehow survived. And
Also a stage play, by the way. I didn't watch that one, though.
okay, because stage plays are where we get a lot of our lore for this game. But
The women do a better job than the men in the acting. I will say that. I saw clips, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
yeah, A2 is cool though, and this is our first time we see her. And,
She's a badass. Yeah.
There's a couple missions where you fight some big bad robots. You get separated for a while. Yeah, separation is kind of important when 2B and 9S get separated after fighting that Goliath
Yeah.
Yeah.
out over the water.
9S. Well, there's a giant machine unit that lives underwater and has been like in the depths of the ocean for a long time.
Machine Godzilla.
Kaiju.
Well, what reactivates him is the birth of Adam. It's not explicitly stated, but Adam basically summons him. Eve is kind of a dum-dum.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've
because
all gotten...
Eve is just like, can we play?
Yeah, he just wants his brother.
But I mean, maybe Eve's got it right. It's like Pinky in the Brain, whereas like Pinky was actually the smart ones, like doing everything in the background, because Adam's just reading philosophy books and like, let's fuck that shit. Let's just go play a little bit.
Yeah.
It's like, we'll play later.
Yeah, it's huge. It's got a bunch of EMP weaponry on it, this is the first time in the game where you're introduced to a lot of EMP waves,
Yeah.
which seems like something the machines could use a lot more, and they just don't.
Well, I think it'd be damaging to both groups.
Yeah, but the machines
are
haven't.
bullets.
The machines, for the most part, the machines haven't cared about like their version of themselves. A lot of the things you slaughter.
Because they still have the collective consciousness.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, like, ends
Legion.
justifying the means. There are a lot less androids than there are machines. That's totally implied based on how many you slaughter throughout the game. It's a big, giant machine. I always found this section to be very annoying.
I didn't mind the battle of it, but once this is like nearing the end of the first playthrough, and I didn't like their separation too much.
I didn't mind that. I thought that was important.
It allowed 2B to become just a little bit more human, I think. It definitely, like, putting her out on her own And I say more human, more whatever.
Well, she no longer had like an emotional backboard or someone to justify some of her more like straightforward kind of job-based decisions.
Yeah. Well, and there's also in the background the continuing story of 2B. Her main mission is to kind of always kill 9S. Yeah. And he discovers this earlier on than he lets on, because there's that great part where he does get captured and Adam is talking to him. He's like, we both know you'd really like to like blank 2B. And the first time you read it, you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
We know what he wants to do. But he's kind of aware though that the 2B units that always are killing him.
Did you know that means different things in different languages though? That translation?
Well, I know in at least English, it could also mean kill.
Kill, love, or fuck.
Yep. Fuck, marry, or kill.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes. And 9S is
I took it as fuck.
Well, 9S is like kind of aware of what's going on with 2B, but he doesn't want to acknowledge it because he still loves her and wants to keep going on this mission. Mm-hmm. So
it's very apparent through the game that 9S is just like head over heels for 2B the whole time.
And she's always like,
she's so cold. And in the first playthrough,
she thinks of him as like a little brother.
Well, yeah, but she's like, emotions are not allowed. She does love him, but not as.
No, not.
She
like
realizes that. Yeah.
I don't think that ever reaches that. I don't think it ever reaches that point.
Her womb is a rocky place where her seed can find no purchase.
Jesus Christ. All right, you say so, Brad.
To quote the Coen brothers, there. They get separated. Well, do they go to fight Kierkegaard after the separation? That's after the separation.
No, it's before. Well, it's after. Yeah. So essentially, command calls and says there's something going on at the factory, and when you basically get a call from Pascal, and Pascal says there's this like faction, and they really want to talk to me to like have a peace treaty, and you go along with Pascal to the factory, and when you get there, it's basically people who are like, come see our God, come on in, come on everyone, and once you get in there, it's revealed that the God is dead.
And the God is a machine with a Pope hat.
Yeah. It's pretty blatant about it.
Yeah. Yeah, his name is Kierkegaard. I love how they just always bastardize all of the philosophers' names and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It's easier than coming up with names yourself.
Right.
Have you heard of have you read like a Star Wars novel? They have to get real clever.
Kierkegaard, he argued that human individuality was a real and concrete thing, thanks to our ability to reason and choose between right and wrong. He argued the existence of God is a subjective truth that is impossible to prove or disprove, fiercely critical of religious institutions. So this is another case where the character of Kierkegaard in the game is not meant to be Soren Kierkegaard, but explaining the philosophy to an extent through this religious zealot character.
Well, Kierkegaard, he's kind of a he's a spiritualist humanist. Like I said before, it's transcendentalism, and transcendentalism is also the idea that you believe it's kind of Pascal's wager at the same times, but it's more of a focus on, because Kierkegaard couldn't get rid of his Christianity, essentially, so he justified it. Whereas Pascal's wager is like, yeah, why not? It's kind of more of a passive version of it.
Yeah, why not?
And so it's fascinating the fact that they put two of those characters together, even though one was already dead. It seems like commentary, though I'm going to tell you what, sometimes a lot of this shit is just not commentary.
It goes full on Jonestown here. It goes,
oh yeah,
the madness of cults in a very big way.
Yeah,
it's rad.
This has got my favorite song in the game, which I'm cutting into here. I would play this for 20 minutes if I was allowed. Become as gods.
Yeah.
Become as gods. Dude, this is a very striking set piece. One of the most memorable set pieces for the game, though.
So you get deeper into the factory.
And, dude, all of the machines react differently. Some are, like, trying to kill you. Some are just, like, offing themselves.
Yeah.
Some are just, like, panicking.
Well, some more. So essentially what you're witnessing in that part of the story is a schism between two factions of this religion that they had. And it's a commentary on that in general. Some of them are super into it and they become extremists. And some of them are cowering and are like, this is not how this was meant to be. We were meant to like be something peaceful. We had a religious leader. It was perfect. And they all everyone ends up getting slaughtered either by suicide or murder.
With the Pascal's village and her sacrifices and stuff too, with trying to do the right thing so hard and then having it turn on its head and become just a tragedy.
The ending of this is it's horrifying because Pascal has to give up his or her it's pacifism.
No, that's not this. That's not this time.
That's later on.
That's the A2 scenario you're thinking of.
Oh yeah.
You go back with A2.
Okay.
And you defend them in the factory because when Pascal's village burns down, you have to go back to the factory because that's your only safe haven.
Yeah.
And that's when all that stuff happens. When you escape with Pascal, Pascal's like, wow, that was nuts. And you're just like, yeah, it really fucking was. And then you have to go and basically find Adam.
Yeah.
So I guess we're kind of at the ending of the first and the second playthroughs ish at this point. You have to rescue 9S from Adam.
Let's put it this way. You go down in an elevator to where you found the aliens and you enter into this
the copied
space
city they
of
call
copied
it.
city.
Yeah.
Where literally the machines can digitize form, and basically they 3D printed the memories of humankind because Adam has learned basically everything about humankind from everything that he's seen on Earth, and he's recreated it, and that's what he's attempting to do. You approach Adam.
I love this story beat with his character.
Yes,
It's so good.
He says that from what I've read and everything I know, what it means to be human is to want to kill and feel like destruction in the palm of your hands, like the ability to take something away and to be taken away. So he says,
fear of death.
yes.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm going to remove myself from the entirety of this, and we're going to fight, and one of us is going to die.
And he completely takes himself away from Eve, so there's no chance he can be brought back because he wants to really experience the fear of death.
Mm-hmm. He gets
Well,
killed.
he gets what he wanted.
That is
Maybe,
what he
but
wanted.
Yeah.
He wanted to experience the fear. He didn't necessarily know he was going to die, but it's an important aspect of life.
Well, the thought here then is that every robot
This is so fun to talk.
No, hold on.
It's
Now,
so-
can I give you something deeper to think about in terms of this?
Absolutely.
That literally means that you saw a giant production facility where they make these robots endlessly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you kill one of those robots,
3 more are getting
that data comes back and gets put into another robot each and every
Their
time.
progress. They're
It
building
is
on
literally,
themselves.
but it's reincarnation.
Yeah.
And it's not reincarnation with a choice, but they come back with that same level of data they started with, just as the androids do when they die. So they're the exact same thing. When Adam removes himself from
Itself. That would,
identifies as male.
yeah.
When Adam removes himself from the entirety of it, he basically removes 50% of all machine life from the planet.
Whoa.
Did you?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
Well, so when he splits, you're fighting the collective conscience because both of them are the same level and they're both kind of controlling it and they easily can. But when you kill one, that's basically removing 50% of it.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're coming out of this. You didn't walk away and leave 9S's body to get ending Q. You decided to save him, and then you have to fight Eve outside of where the tower eventually spawns. And this is ending A and ending B.
No, you do that in the pit where the Goliath exploded.
Yeah, that's also where the tower comes up, though.
No, the tower comes up above the commercial facility.
You would know more than me on this one. I'm going to defer to you.
Okay.
But yes, at the end of it, you have to fight Eve, who has gone full hatred as their reason for living and rage because
Yeah.
they're mad that Adam's gone.
His tattoo goes wild.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It was like me when I was 29.
That's a reference. Jesus. It's a reference to the black scroll disease
From NieR. Yeah.
It seems to me like they're imitating life to a degree that they're recreating the things that led to the downfall of man at every single turn. And this is one of them. It's rage. It's the harnessing of that power. And the reason that he can't go full
Super Saiyan?
is because literally there's a reason only half of his face does it. It's because Adam's gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like he represents power and then one represents knowledge. The knowledge is destroyed. All that's left is the power.
Okay. We have like 15 to 30 minutes to finish the rest of everything. So,
Okay.
All right.
yes. Because, and then after you beat the first one, there's this really great, you see the credits and squares like, we really, really, really think you should play this game through B mode and then C mode. Just trust us.
Yeah,
I think it's great that they actually had to put the message in there because a lot of people would think the game was done, which, why wouldn't you when you beat a game in the credits roll?
When I first beat it, I was like, why? But then I remembered playing NieR and I'm like, oh.
More.
I'm like, all right, cool.
So you go back and you play through as 9S, and then after you beat that with 9S, you come into what they want to say like the third playthrough, and you start off as 9S. You eventually also play as A2.
You can choose right away.
Yeah, I think you choose.
Well, no, you start off as 9S and 2B.
I guess maybe,
You start off as 9S and
Yeah.
2B. It's the assault on Earth after 50% of the machine forces have been disabled. Yorha essentially decides that they're going to
This is our
storm the
chance.
planet.
Yeah.
Yep. And as they do that, they do not understand that the logic virus has returned.
spread.
Yeah.
Yep. And
So
now it
all
can
the
get into
units other
androids.
than them, like all the units for Yorha have been taken over, including Commander White.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
there is no God. There is no meaning.
A lot of sequences.
All of the philosophers are dead. You're stuck here now. What are you going to do with what you have?
Well, so as they're making their way back to Earth, as one of only 2 surviving members of Yorha, they're 2B essentially says like, all right, I'm going to take over your system controls, 9S. Just trust me on this. And he's like, okay. And then he basically like launches him off into another direction. And she takes the full brunt of the logic virus. She crashes. She gets out. And it's a long trudge up to the
very
commercial
long
facility.
trudge.
Yeah.
And one that if you don't know
Very-
exactly where you're going, you will game over.
I am.
Ending L.
Well, it shows you on the map.
It does, but I managed to like not make the right choice the first time just because I didn't know the way the map was laid out.
And so you're basically like getting fucked up the entire time. It's like the beginning of Destiny 2,
Yeah.
or it's just like needlessly like this. You're supposed to feel something about it, and I was just like, oh fuck, she'll be okay. She gets across the bridge to the commercial facility. She sees A2, and A2's like, I know what's happening to you. And she's like, and then 2B's like, well, I need you to kill me because I can't let this spread. Like literally, if 9S comes within a certain amount of space between us, I'm gonna infect him as well. I don't know why you're not getting infected. She's like, I cut myself off years ago. And she's like, okay, well, you have to kill me. Stabs her.
Sploop.
Yep. It's pretty unceremonious, honestly. Like,
Yep.
which honestly kind of makes the impact of it so much more because
Agreed.
it is in just a moment you're just like, oh, this is a really different story than what I thought it was going to go.
Well, because in the promotional material, you thought that when A2 cut her hair, you thought that wasn't just 2B. Like, it's kind of brilliant because like right after she kills 2B, she cuts off her hair to be more like 2B.
Yeah.
Which also implies that she absorbed all of 2B's data.
And 2B put her memory into the sword and
Yep.
said,
Yep.
take care of everyone for me. And then 9S is running across the bridge.
She sees it. He sees it happening.
And
Yeah.
she looks over, she's like, oh, Nines, which he's like, please call me by my nickname. I want you to call me by like a cute pet name. And she finally does. And he's like, oh, she loves me. And she's dead.
Yeah,
gone.
her last statement is something that he's been bugging her about the entire game.
And This sets up the two arcs for our characters, where 9S has gone full into having rage and hatred be his meaning for existence, and he's blind about it. He can't be told anything else.
Yeah.
And A2, through assimilating 2B, is now having a redemptive arc where she's learning to forgive and accept and move past her prior transgressions.
So, like, A2's entire problem is that she was created to kill machines, just like all the other androids. But then she was betrayed by the people created her too, so she then held no allegiances. So then she just became this deserter, killing every single version of any form of life. Unless you're talking about an enemy. Do you remember when you first go into the resistance camp and you talk to an enemy for the first time with 9S?
Not sure.
Oh, I'm sorry, with 2B. I'm sorry. She said, is that you two? It's A2 she's referring to. She was at the battle at Pearl Harbor.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
God.
Wow.
This game is so good.
There's I can't comprehend the different layers that are going on, because
Masterwork.
these two twins just show up, Devila and Popola.
Yeah.
And Devila and Popola are super fucking interesting.
And then you have Emil, however you want to say it, Emil, who's from NieR, who was a boy.
The last remaining human that wasn't a replicant.
And he becomes imbued with some powers and becomes immortal, and he's the mask that Yoko Taro wears.
Yep. He merges with his sister in order to gain magical powers, which aren't really magic. They're just another version of the white chlorination syndrome. Oh my God, I could get into this for a million years.
What I like about 9S's, most of the third playthrough for 9S, it's him blindly killing machines and moving forward as fast as he can. He goes to 3 different keys for the towers, and he just has to climb the towers and kill and kill and kill.
It turns very, very stereotypical video game.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. It's almost like Link needs to find the 3 shards of this in order to open the thing to Ganon's castle.
Or just, the Triforce.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Bloodborne, when you just become drunk with blood and you're not thinking about anything anymore. You're just out there killing shit.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Hell yeah, baby.
A2's got more fetch quests where she helps people.
Yeah.
She's even reluctant to go to Pascal's village and help out, which I guess we can talk about Pascal with A2.
Yeah.
Pascal and the children of the village are trapped in the factory. He has to go out to protect them from an oncoming machine attack.
The logic virus has spread by this point, and the logic virus infects Pascal's village, and a lot of the robots start self-cannibalizing, except for the children, the fresh robots. Yeah. They can't be infected with the logic virus, which is symbolism. And Pascal's too pure of heart, and they go to the factory, and there's an onslaught of robots, and you fend them off with Pascal, who ditches his pacifism.
Yeah.
And as you get back in, you find that all the children have committed suicide.
And, well, it's great because Pascal has decided, I'm giving up my pacifism. Yep. I am going to do this to protect somebody. And it's like, okay, good, because sometimes you need to fight. And he comes back, and the children have all killed themselves.
His reason that he gave up his pacifism is just up in smoke.
This is so hilariously ironic, right?
He should have been helping.
I laugh for days.
He should have been helping with the giant machine, because literally he just flies around and watches you blow up shit. I'm like, all right, you're not going to help at all. You're just going to fly right next to me.
Isn't he the one that controls the robot arm? The giant robot arm? No,
that's 9S's hacking.
Yeah, that's 9S.
Okay. Well, and then after Pascal sees the dead children, he's like, that's it. I can't live anymore. You either need to kill me or erase my memory, or, of course, there's the third option.
Walk away.
It's like, what did y'all do?
And then the game just leaves it in your lap.
And there's not a right or wrong answer. This is strictly, what are you going to do as a person?
I literally respected his wishes. I erased
because it's too.
Because when I think about a lot of things, when I think about what mercy means, sometimes you have to leave it up like if you don't respect someone's choice, then it's not honorable. Yeah. Because if someone made a request of you and you're just going to do the opposite thing, that's kind of fucked up. Because that's how I would react in real life. I'd be like, if this is really what you want, go for it.
I opted to walk away. I don't know. To me, it's like if we don't learn from our mistakes and have somebody who's gone through this, we're going to just keep doing the same thing. So it's better to hopefully Pascal comes to some sort of understanding and then can teach.
I think the reality,
a cautious pacifism and fear.
I think based on the ending, I think that the erasure is probably the best option.
We'll get to the ending about erasure here in 2 seconds.
Okay,
because we're about to get there. Everything happens. We climb the tower, and then there's a few story beats there, but we're just going to say that we get up there to the final boss, which
are the Red Twins.
Well, the Red Twins, yes. So 2B and 9S are both simultaneously climbing up this like Tower of Babel that is reaching up. We don't know the ultimate,
arc.
The arc. And the arc is, we believe it's meant to attack the moon and destroy the base there, but it's really to send all of like the collected information out into outer space to.
Well, as you ascend, they change their purpose.
As you ascend, they change their purpose.
It was
supposed to be the cannon to destroy the moon, to destroy any sense of God within there. It's basically the destruction of religion. It's the Nietzschean God is dead. But then they say like, well, actually, most of the machines are fucked. Earth is fucked. We're just gonna, we're gonna launch an arc into space and we'll land on some planet somewhere, and just even a million years in the future, and we'll be okay.
And so the Red Girls in the Machine Network are essentially the main players in the war. They're the ones that are kind of manipulating everything.
Yeah. Also potentially born of the Watchers from Drakengard 1.
Ayo, that's my Dylan over there.
I watched the full playthrough of Drakengard 1. I've never played the fucking game.
That was French.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Yeah. But yeah, it's fascinating, especially when like it's such like a 5 minutes to midnight kind of reveal of who the villains actually are in this game.
Well, I mean, and they're not, I'd say, the main villain of the game. They're the ones that are perpetrating this war. The main villain is Existence, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, like New York is a character in some movies. Good God, man.
This is, and even then, this isn't the final boss. They're the ones that are perpetuating this war, but the real crisis every character is going through is meaning.
Sure,
of the story. As far as
they're the puppet masters.
Because
they're the
Yoko Taro does like
you know how like in Final Fantasy how there's always like it's like I beat you Kuja, get fucking bent, and then suddenly like
I am Ozma.
This is Necro Ding Dong, and I'm coming down, and now we got to face him, and then the boss battle music actually starts.
Well, that's a classic JRPG thing you've got your villain, and then also you fight God.
Yeah. Teenagers kill God.
Yes. Yeah.
and ultimately the goal for the Red Girls is not to fight them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're fighting them and your pod is like, I seriously can't believe how dumb you are. You're a little like...
Yeah, I question your logic or your conscious motor.
Well,
the
point is that you don't... The point is that when you reach the Red Twins, the way to defeat them is to stop fighting.
Let their like network grow and grow to where they start like hating each other.
Yeah, you just got to start dodging.
System overload. Yeah,
that creepy smile the one gives, like, oh, you think you can win?
God, the stuff of my
Do you
nightmares.
think you can win? I was like,
that's like a
fuck
movie.
You, I can.
That's a movie that wasn't given the right amount of time for special effects. Like,
well, it's also funny because that is that's part of where they decide, rather than to even then preserve life, they decide that they need to war over life.
Yeah.
Because there are two sides to everything. There are two sides to each brain. I think it's interesting that everything is based off of this 50-50 relationship, especially within this game. There are always pairs to everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that goes into 2B and 9S, that goes into the androids and the robots, that goes into so many different things. It's also
Adam and Eve.
It's also part of the reason why 2A is so interesting in the game because she feels like the only person that is solo, that it is out as a lone wolf.
Well, A2 is separate from everything.
Yes.
And 9S is trying so hard to be like 2B's like bestie, and she's like, just calm down, stay away.
Down boy.
Yeah. If you just calm down, you can come to the party.
I found him,
Yeah.
at first, in the first playthrough, I found him so kind of just like, oh, you're trying too hard. But when you play that second playthrough with him, you really do realize that he's already kind of ascended past his,
Where he's
like his
supposed to be.
understanding. And now he's just like, they kept the data of him from a certain point legitimately because he's been killed so many times, but they allow him to have some sort of autonomy because they realize that that's the smartest version of him and can do a lot more.
Yeah.
And so the reason they keep sending 2B after him to kill him essentially is just because he keeps reaching that same point, that same crux where he can turn into the villain, or he turns into something too self-aware or autonomous for his own good.
Like the title NieR, where you're nearly autonomous, is what you mean.
Well, NieR is the name as the character from the first one.
You mean Drakengard? Yes. Okay.
Sure. Yeah. Keim. His name's Keim in that one. By the way,
the ultimate battle of the game, though, is of course when 9S and A2 have to fight. You choose who you want to be. 9S has embraced rage, and you can, if you kill A2,
you literally fall upon your sword.
Yeah. You both die. And A2, if A2,
that one is disturbing.
If A2
he squirms around.
Well, if A2 wins,
hard to watch, especially because you like him so much at that point.
There's no mercy.
Yeah.
No. A2 can win, and then if she kind of saves 9S, and then she dies having found purpose, which is really nice for her.
Well, her purpose, she actually finds her God in the memory of her fallen comrades. Because literally as she's dying, that's what she says.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm coming for you guys. She doesn't believe in an afterlife, but she's kind of hoping.
Yeah.
After meeting Pascal, do you get it? Fuck.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Is dead. And of course there is ending E, which if you've done ending C or D and then you do the other, the two pods, pod 042, the meaning of life.
I love them.
And pod 153, it's like, I do not accept this ending of the game. And the other one's like, me neither, I guess. And you can choose to, these pods can choose to like bring everyone back, but you have to fight the creators of the game. It's during during the credit sequence.
Did you know all the creators are singing?
Well, only one is only one is singing it first,
and then it builds.
Because it's only one. Because you're fighting everything by yourself in this battle, which it starts off fine. You're like, I can do this. And it gets fucking...
It's such bullet hell. It's impossible.
It's impossible. It's the 30th layer of bullet hell. It is the worst possible amount of bullet hell. And it is impossible to an extent.
It's pretty much impossible. Yeah. It is think of the hardest Super Mario Maker level you've ever played. And then just imagine it times 10.
Every death, you're asked a question. Is it all pointless? You have to answer these questions.
Yep.
Yes.
Do you think games are silly little things? Do you admit there is no meaning to this world? And you have to just fight for your purpose, fight for your meaning. And you keep saying yes, and you keep going, and it just keeps smacking you down. It's like, fuck you.
Yep.
And then eventually... you're able to accept help from other players. And that's when the single voice in the soundtrack swells to an entire chorus fighting the creators.
Yep.
And
literally the names you're destroying, if you do it right away, it'll automatically build to that.
Love it.
Which I immediately accepted help. I'm like, help.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's like, I know this is going to be too hard for me. Fuck you. It's like, I'm not dumb.
If the game offers me help, I will take it.
Don't insult me, video game.
And I was surprised to learn that this was inspired by Coca Cola. Did you guys know this?
Fuck off. Why?
Because did you know this one?
I was watching a little synopsis video a couple of days ago, and I think I know what you're talking about. It's the Pakistan and you've got it in front of
Pakistan and India.
Yeah.
They had a marketing campaign.
Well, I hear they love each other.
Well, Coke Coke plays vending machine shaped computers in Pakistan and India, and these two nuclear armed nations. You could go up there and it would say, would you like to make a friend in this other country? And then you had to like draw heart. You could see them on the screen and you drew hearts together or drew things on the screen and interacted with people.
Yep.
Coca Cola.
I fucking love that shit. That's really fucking sick.
And that is the most powerful, like, we're going around governments to just bring people together type stuff, which you don't expect from major corporations.
Well, imagine if there was just a public space where you just had to look at someone else's face, and then all you could use was like heart emojis and smiles to communicate. It's like.
And that's where my brain went immediately is I hope that they controlled what you could draw because otherwise so many dicks.
South Dakota and North Dakota, it would just be all like, fuck you emojis, fuck you emojis.
I'd be like, I don't like anyone.
Y'all don't have the right kind of Dakota stuff.
The Dakota stuff. You're not my race.
But he was inspired by this Coca-Cola marketing campaign with two vending machines where people could communicate.
That's
also
awesome.
Vending machines are how like the androids replicate themselves and keep responding. I don't know that was part of themselves.
I think that's a conversion thing in the lore. But
originally he was considering having the like. It would be countries that were in conflict with each other would be the ones helping each other in the ending. But he abandoned that and just like, this is universally where people are, we learned they sacrifice their saves to be able to help you, maybe. But
by the way, this didn't blow my mind because you do this in NieR as well.
Well,
the exact same thing at the end, yeah.
The thing is, though, NieR wasn't as big, and NieR Automata is big.
No, it is. Yeah. And it's a better game. Yeah, God, is it a better game? I can't wait for another NieR game.
Yeah,
frankly, because of this, not because when they announced this sequel, I was literally just like,
"Huh, cool."
I was like, "What?"
Your friends, these other people have joined you. You can defeat the credit sequence, and then
it literally just gives you a faster and multiple gun rate,
and also like they shield you, they surround you, but
it makes you almost invincible.
I felt bad because I think I started like getting loosey goosey, and I think I just sacrificed like 30 players' saves to just get through my one credit sequence. I don't think that's really how it works.
Yeah. I deleted mine.
I did too.
Well, because after you beat the credit sequence, the pods are now like recreating our characters, and they say, "I made a mistake earlier. I am embarrassed." The other one said, "Well, that's kind of the meaning of what's going on here."
Yeah, that's the meaning of existence.
Can I blow your mind? So those pods, they're machines.
Yes.
Whoa! And I mean, it's something really dumb to say at this moment. But what's funny is that through doing their daily tasks and routines and observing essentially what they consider to be their version of humankind, which are the androids, they then become sentient and are able to be creative as well. I just think that's
to the point of going against programming and
they hint at it early on because they'll show little scenes where the two characters are talking or the two pods are talking to each other, exchanging data, and it's just like, oh, they're actually having feelings about stuff. They're not just And then when the consciousness gets transferred to A2, he's like, I did promise I'd help you, like, and A2's like, fuck off, go away, and he's like, no, actually, I'm not going to do that. I kind of feel connected to this shit.
And the final, they say the pods are rebuilding you. They say a future is not given to you; it is something you must take for yourself. Then there's of course the coda, where would you like to sacrifice everything you've done up to this point? Would you like to sacrifice your save data in order for someone else to like have assistance in the credit sequence? Essentially, and it's up to you. I, of course, didn't because I'm like, I'm not done playing this. I might want to revisit my save.
Do you ever, you could just save scum.
But also, you made the point that you didn't think this is really how it works.
In NieR, I didn't. In this one, I did.
Okay.
I didn't think I was going to go back to do all of them.
Do you think the first person that actually got through the credit sequence had to do it by himself?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that. And I firmly think and I firmly believe that it's a very lonely Japanese man. because if you tried to do that one alone, I swear to God, but you can propagate this. You can literally save scum. You can make multiple saves, and if one of your buddies gave you a clue as to how the ending worked, you could get around it.
And it's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. That you are sacrificing everything you've done to help somebody else get through the game, get their moment of catharsis.
Yeah.
They even remind you, like, you might hate this person. They might not be thankful. They won't know who you are.
They might not even give a shit. Yeah.
Yep. And that's why I'm like, maybe I don't want to give up my save.
There was a part of me that said that too, and then I'm like, I've got 10 endings. I think I'm.
But yeah,
fine.
but you knew you were going to play it again. I don't know if I'll get back there eventually, but
I haven't played it since like 3 years ago. So that's like it's a little different at that point, I think. Like, I mean, like I can play it now because I literally had enough space in between.
I was gonna say, is it a game that you can go back to
it's still
super
fun.
easily? Because like,
the more you know, the faster you can get through it.
Yeah,
and it still feels fluid.
The
and
gameplay
fun.
is snappy. Yeah,
and I think the more you know, the more you'll appreciate the story if you were to go back.
Yeah.
Because just knowing what I know now, if I was to go back, I would be seeing things way differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I wish
researching all of the philosophers and just like putting in a little bit of time there elevates the game so much.
It's brilliant. It even makes oblique references to Marx, Engels, and some Asian philosophers are mentioned through some robot names too.
Yeah.
Which I'm not familiar with all of them. And I love, there's a really great quote where Pascal's just reading a book.
Where the state ceaseth, there only commenceth the man who is not superfluous. I see. It seems this Nietzsche was quite the profound thinker. Or perhaps he skipped right past profound and went straight to crazy instead. Oh well, enough of that. I'd best go see the world for myself instead of burying my head in books.
Yeah,
well, I've read Nietzsche, and everything that Pascal said is true.
It's blinky bonkers. But what I will tell you is that we're definitely not like philosophical experts. If you're going to try and like fact check us, just avoid it.
No, please. If you want to fact check us, tweet out at us.
No,
I'd be
fine.
I'd be happy to have a discussion because philosophy is open ended as well. Everything we've said is correct.
Say at Brad.
So many great secrets in the game. You can purchase, of course, the achievements like we mentioned before.
Yeah. Maybe I'm saying that. I don't claim to be an expert. Don't at me, bro.
I took one philosophy class. It went for almost 2 weeks. You can fight the CEOs of Square Enix and Platinum Games in a hidden boss fight.
Trippiest boss fight ever.
Looking up 2B skirt gets you the achievement, What Are You Doing?
Did you earn that achievement or did you buy it?
I had no I found out online because I didn't do either. If I had known I could self-destruct and just expose my booty, I might have. I didn't know.
I should have, but I don't.
Lots of different endings.
I appreciate. I just made her
things.
jump a lot so I could see it.
Yeah, that's how you do as a pervy gamer.
Yeah.
NieR Automata.
Fantastic.
Great game. Play it.
Absolutely fantastic game.
Be ready to feel weird playing it.
What you expect is Robo Booty, and what you get is Nietzsche and Robo Booty.
Well, I mean,
Existentialism and Robo Booty.
This game it is so rare that it is so rare for me to find a game that actually makes me think. Because a lot of the time everything breaks down to very specific tasks, and the story is often so black and white, good versus evil, and it doesn't actually like approach any of the subject matter, or the characters are fucking bland. I mean,
it's not fun when you can get out ahead of the story. Like,
I just don't think Nathan Drake is entertaining. I'm sorry. I find him annoying as fuck.
I think the spectacle.
I think Sully's okay.
Spectacle is great.
The spectacle is awesome.
The movie set pieces. Naughty Dog.
Crash Bandicoot is a one-dimensional character in a three-dimensional world.
I don't think so. I think he's got things going on. He was driven crazy through experimentation.
Man,
you don't know what his personality is.
His neocortex is fucked, is what you're saying.
I mean, maybe. You never know. Like, it seems to me like...
And now back to regular Raw Dogs programming.
I mean, we could get into it sometime. Well, yeah. I mean, Coco seems pretty intelligent. So,
yeah, true.
I don't think Crash started out as being a crazy bandicoot.
It's like Bam Bam. It's like if you're named Crash or Bam Bam, you're probably living a destructive lifestyle.
Or that's just like the new name.
A drug dealer who used to live next to me had a dog named Bam Bam. The dog fucking sucked.
Oh, that's sad. No dogs actually suck.
Now, if it was named Barney,
only owners suck.
would have been a great
Yeah,
dog.
like the dinosaur.
like the neighbor.
Sure.
Mr. Rogers?
Fred Flintstone's neighbor, Barney.
Postman
That's where I was
Pat.
going. Postman Pat. We didn't talk a lot about what's going on in NieR Automata, too. If you wanted to bring up some other stuff Russ had mentioned, we sure will.
Yeah.
Because we didn't even mention Devila Popola too much, or Emil, who is
huge.
a character.
Yeah. The game starts, the story starts at the drop of a hat, and it is full, like, nonstop the whole time.
To be clear, NieR Automata was created as a standalone thing because they knew people didn't play the first one. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to play the other NieR, you don't have to play the other NieR, and you don't have to play any of the Drakengard series because literally they hide the story away behind a few characters and optional files and text.
Yeah.
It's definitely not something you have to go out of your way for. I would honestly say, unless you're willing to buy NieR from a Russian guy somewhere for way too much money.
Dylan has clearly been considering this.
I mean, like a good copy that's well taken care of.
I will take
in the
it for
box.
25 rubles.
I don't know how much that is in America bucks, but
I think our conversion rate's going down.
Yeah.
Not according to the stocks I have, baby.
Hey.
I've got Ethereum, bitch.
NieR Automata is one of my favorite games I've ever played. As far as games as art, as far as having a strong idea of what you're trying to convey and have an audience experience, I don't think many games would come close to what this creator is putting out. Yoko Taro has done something truly special, and Platinum Games has supported him in the most supreme way possible. Thank you, Dylan, for making me play this game. I was familiar with some philosophers before, and it's one of those things where the more you read, the better it is.
Yep.
It is for the thinker. It is not. If you want to have like a shallow experience, you're more than welcome to. But if you really want to get into it.
Yeah.
Like just think. Like actually like approach. Like I don't have. There's not a lot of games that make me think. There are a lot of games I can zone out to or not care about, or the themes aren't as heavy. This is proof to me that you can make a game with a concept. And then everything else can roll right along with it.
Fall
if you
into place.
just have the right people working for you. I think I'll say this again, without Platinum Games, this would have not worked. And I'm going to be honest with you, this game was in development hell for a long time. Mm-hmm. So, thank you, Platinum. I love Platinum. I will go to bat for them at every single moment.
Yeah.
The game had a horrible frame rate at first. That's the only problem.
Dylan, how can people reach out to us if they want to reach out?
We're on Patreon. We've got a lot of tiers. The higher you go, the nicer
NieR
it will
Automata.
Fuck.
How did we not make more puns?
Fuck. I didn't even think of that. You can contact Brad on Twitter. You're not going to find...
2B has some nice puns.
Yeah. Oof.
I think there's a Facebook page. I'll tell you what. I've seen hair and hide of it, but I don't care.
Hair the dog.
Also, feel free to email us with questions. hairthedogcast@gmail.com. Is it Hair the Dogcast Pod?
I'm not sure what Dylan hasn't covered. Facebook, Instagram, Hair the Dogcast. Twitter @HotDogcast. Reach out on Patreon if you want to support us. We have... If you want like the second parts of Mortal Kombat, second parts of Bloodborne, as well as some other exclusive content.
The Bloodborne one gets weird because we're very tired. Same with Mortal Kombat. Yeah,
Mortal Kombat just gets weird because we're talking about the middle, or like the third trilogy.
Yeah,
which is bad.
Weird.
Or the middle trilogy.
Middle trilogy is
yeah.
Yes. So next week we're going to be, or 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about something a little more approachable. To people who aren't studied in philosophy, Robo Booties, or Yoko Taro.
We're going to make it about that.
We're going to be talking about the Game Boy Advance in retrospective. We'll be talking about launch titles. We'll be talking about our favorite games.
Love it.
That might be a little more friendly to some of you. And if you've listened this far and you didn't like philosophy or NieR Automata, You got
Good job.
You got ending A.
Yes,
You got
well done.
A+.
Game Boy Advance is one of the best systems ever released.
If you
Absolutely.
have any
Yes.
specific games or stuff you want to mention on the Game Boy
Shout
Advance,
it
reach out to us, please.
We will definitely shout them out. If we played them, we will talk about them.
Heck yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. If y'all have anything else you want to say,
I'll say welcome, Nick. It's nice to have you.
Hey,
Thank
welcome,
you very
Nick.
much. Thank you for having me, and
Glad to have you here. It makes things a lot easier when you have 3 people to bounce around with.
yeah, for sure.
It's great.
Thanks so much for everyone tuning in. We'll see you next time. Y'all are great. And remember to hit up your Coca Cola vending machines. Be nice to your pods, pet your pods, and support your local podcast.
My favorite sci-fi novel is Do Androids Poop?
Thanks for tuning in.
There we go.
Much love.
Bye-bye.
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Juliet, wherefore art thou, Juliet?
Oh, Romeo, then let us call thy numbers.
Juliet, then I shall take thy life.
Die, Romeo, now do it, asshole.
I shall make thee a good